Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic show. It's episode 341. We've got an exciting guest. It's Magnus. Unemyr. I probably butchered his surname, but he said a lot of people have problems with it, so I don't think he's going to be too upset. And we're going to be talking about marketing automation and a teeny weeny little bit about machine learning. So, Magnus, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me on the show. So my name is Magnus Unemyr, which is notoriously difficult to pronounce in English, apparently. I'm Swedish. I'm born and live in Sweden. And I have been working my entire life with international marketing in the software industry. Since about a year ago, I'm now an independent consultant, author, and speaker in the area of marketing automation and how to use artificial intelligence in marketing. And I've written a couple of books about those topics as well.
Right, that's great. And my great co-host, Cindy Nicholson, would you like to quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's Cindy Nicholson from thecoursewhisperer.com, where I help entrepreneurs that want to create online courses, make really awesome courses for their students.
And before we go into the interview, I just want to mention something about one of our great sponsors, and that's WP Fusion. And what does WP Fusion? It's very linked to our discussion, actually. In your technology stack, the two most important things are your WordPress website and your CRM, because your CRM should run all your marketing automation for you. You should get all your tags and everything set up correctly and get really stuck into the marketing of the 21st century. And what does WP Fusion help with this? Well, it really enables your WordPress membership website, e-commerce site to communicate on steroids with your CRM. Now, if that really sounds interesting, and it should, for your clients or for yourself, go to the WP Fusion site and use this coupon code, which is an exclusive offer only for the listeners and viewers of WP Tonic, which is WP Tonic, all one word, uppercase, and you will get 25% of any of the packages on the WP Fusion website. And that is only exclusively if you utilize that coupon code. And just read about the amazing product. It is truly amazing. So into our discussion. So I was wondering how to start this discussion, really, because there's been so much recently published about marketing automation, but so many clients have been asking me questions about it, and I've been trying to do it myself. But I'm struggling. I've got to be truthful, and I think a lot of clients are struggling. Can I ask you, first of all, why do you think people struggle so much? And can you give any tips about getting started?
I think there is actually not enough educational material on marketing automation out there. There's obviously marketing literature from the marketing automation software tool vendors available. In my mind, too many people have a passive website, so they focus a lot about the content and styling of the website, making sure it has really nice graphics and stuff, but that is a passive website. And by adding marketing automation technology to the website, or rather behind the website, you can turn the passive website into an active marketing machinery that actively tries to harvest leads and actively nurture and follow up with those leads, automating the sales process 24/7. And there is a certain level of programming behind the scenes that is going on here, and that may scare some people off. But that programming is not like writing code. It is just drag and drop and creating email sequences that are triggered to be sent when certain people do certain things. So you define a set of trigger conditions that set off an action chain, for example, sending 5 emails over the next 5 weeks, only to people who did a certain action on the website, for example. So I usually say that we install tripwire on the website. When people trigger those tripwires, then some follow-up logic is applied to that person automatically. So there is a certain amount of programming to it, but it's on a very high level, and you don't need to know or understand any coding whatsoever to do it.
Cindy?
Yeah, thank you, Magnus. So it's true, because we all hear about, anyone who's been in an online business or has online courses, they hear about this whole automation thing. And, there's a rush to kind of get things automated to keep everybody's life simpler. So where are people going wrong? Like when they go to automate things, where are they making mistakes and what are they struggling with?
I think there are a set of problems that people may bump into. Marketing automation is a software system or a software robot that delivers the right content to the right person at the right time. So using marketing automation software, we can deliver certain types of content at a context-specific time, let's say. And I think most companies starting to use marketing automation underestimate the amount of content that needs to be produced. So content marketing without marketing automation is not performing at its best. Marketing automation without content can do nothing. And by combining content marketing or content with a marketing automation robot, and we can turbocharge the effect and get much more out of it. And pretty much the website is the styling of your marketing, and the marketing automation system provides the business value or the business results. And by adding marketing automation, we turn a passive website into an active marketing system. So underestimating the amount of content is certainly one problem I see many companies bumping into. Another mistake is probably to spam people with irrelevant stuff. If you have a software robot that can send a lot of emails automatically, it's very easy to send, quite frankly, spammy stuff, which is of no relevance. So the trick with marketing automation is not to set up one very long sequence of 52 emails being sent once every week for a full year, but rather install the tripwire on the website that sets off certain shorter email sequences that do specific content deliveries that relate specifically to whatever that person did on the website at that specific time. And the more things someone does on the website, the more tripwire he trips on, and he will be exposed to more and more content, which is delivered at a very context-specific time and with the right information. So rather than having the same stuff going out to everyone, try to have parallel systems that send much shorter email sequences with highly targeted information to the people who just need that at that specific point in time. I also think that many people buy a marketing automation software and just thinks that it is email automation or just sending drip email sequences. They don't really add the workflow logic that you can do. So you can have if then else logic to those action sequences. So for example, if I would automate a manually held webinar, then I would send a mail shot to the segment of people who are interested, who likely are interested in joining that webinar. And that email would have a link to the sign up page or the landing page where people can register. But then I would create a follow-up sequence in the marketing automation system that automatically do things to the people who signed up to the webinar. And by integration between the marketing automation system and the webinar platform, for example, you could then have the marketing automation system check which people out of those who actually registered to attend did in fact attend to the webinar. And dependent on whether or not someone actually did attend, then we can send different follow-up sequences to those who attended versus those who didn't attend. So for those who attended, we can send a email sequence, for example, with a soft sales message. And for those who didn't attend, we can send out an email with the recording, for example. You can also automate webinars fully. So there are marketing automation systems or specialized tools that do fully automated webinars that send or publish pre-recorded videos, let's say. And it's set up in the way that it actually looks like kind of a manually recorded or manually published webinar. So you have to sign up on a landing page, and there's usually a countdown timer with a second display that counts down every second to create the urgency. And whenever someone comes to that landing page, they see that today at noon, for example, there is a webinar and there's urgency to join. But if someone else goes to that landing page the next day or later the same day, they see the same webinar being offered but a different time, that is perhaps 2 hours into the future. And likewise, with fully automated webinars, we can send different follow-up email sequences to people depending on whether or not they in fact did attend. We can also check whether or not someone opened a specific email and respond differently. We can adjust the following emails depending on whether or not someone opened the first email or not. If we install a video clip on the website, I can send follow-up sequences to people who watched above 25 seconds and those who watched the movie 3 times and at least 1 minute, then we can do something differently.
I think I think you've just thrown an enormous amount of information, fantastic information. Okay. It's obvious that you're a total expert in this area, but I think what you've done is, my response, I was just, the information was fantastic, but I think it was a little bit there's a little bit of symbolism there, because it slightly felt a little bit overwhelming as well. Okay. I think we're going to have to break this. I don't know what Cindy feels. I think maybe this is we got to the key of the problem. Is there any kind of little baby steps, little things that people you think could get the biggest return if they set up something in utilizing a marketing automation? Are there any kind of little I'm looking for the right word in here, Cindy. Is it not baby steps, but
I think baby steps is a good word for it. It's really like, because essentially what you're saying, Magnus, is that, the opportunity for automation is more than just automatically sending out emails. There's just so much more that you can do from a business building perspective than just, taking the load off my shoulders of having to send out a bunch of emails. So, I guess maybe Jonathan, it's just like, what is kind of the first step, beyond just setting up the automation? That
Something.
Start targeting their audience.
I don't know if you agree with this, Cindy. Something around if you got a course, I don't know. Have you worked with any kind of people that got kind of a course and you've helped them set up some initial automation?
So I think from my point of view, if you want to do the bare minimum, then you should make sure to have not to have a website that doesn't really ask for the contact details. So what you want on the website is to make sure that you have at least one lead magnet. So perhaps a PDF file that we are offering that has a perceived and hopefully a real value to the website visitors. And you offer that for free in return for their email address. So basically what you do is that you install a call to action button, so a red or green or yellow button on the website that says, click here to download this free PDF, which is valuable, in shorter words, obviously. And by clicking that button, people are driven to a landing page where they have a registration form where they need to register their contact details to get that free download. And that is the traditional way of harvesting leads from the website, i.e. converting anonymous visitors into identified people. And by asking for the email address and giving them something to download for free in return, we have a kind of a business transaction where we got the email address and they got something valuable. And then onwards, we can start to send some nurturing emails. And if you don't have that basic step of offering a lead magnet and collecting or harvesting emails using that lead magnet as an incentive, then you can't really do anything else. You need to get the email addresses of your anonymous visitors on the website to do any further follow-up pretty much.
All right. What do you think, Cindy?
Yeah, so then, with automation, then what is the best way then to kind of segment your audience, right? Because that's kind of the next step. Once you've kind of captured these email addresses, you want to kind of segment them according to, what kind of things they might be interested in. What are some of the ways that you can identify the segment that you would put these?
There are pretty much 2 or 3 ways to do that. One way, which is probably the easiest, is just to ask them. And how would you ask people what segment we should put them into, or what bucket we should put them into? We do that by adding one more question to the registration form. So if the registration form normally asks for the first name and the email address, and we can add a third field that, for example, includes a drop-down list with 3 predefined answers. And we could answer which kind of courses are you interested in. Windsurfing courses, kayaking courses, or running courses, for example. And then by having them answer that simple question in the form, we can collect important segmentation information, and we know which bucket to put that person into. And that could then affect which type of emails to send onwards. So that is the most direct way. We just ask them. The second way is that we can monitor their behaviors on the website. So the marketing automation system hooks into the website and records the digital footprint of all the visitors. And so we can see that, for example, a specific person is often or has been to the windsurfing pages on the website, but not on the running or jogging pages. Then we can probably indirectly conclude that this person is more interested in windsurfing stuff rather than jogging stuff. We can also conclude that from other indirect means. For example, if we offer free lead magnets for free downloads, we offer 3 different types of PDFs that we promote and ask people to download for free in return for their registration information. Then by looking at what PDF a certain person have downloaded, we can conclude that if someone downloaded the windsurfing related PDF, then we can conclude that this is probably a windsurfing guy, and we put him in that bucket. Someone else downloaded a jogging related PDF, and we put her in the jogging bucket. So that are a couple of ways we can do that.
Oh, that's great. We're going to go for our break, folks, and we'll be back more. We'll be delving even deeper into this world of automotive marketing. We'll be back soon, folks. We're coming back. Magnus has blown me away. I don't know about Cindy. My mind's racing now. I've got all sorts of ideas being percolated by this conversation. Got another question, Cindy?
So I guess a lot of people have heard about automation, and where do you think the next step is going to be in terms of where do you see this automation going?
So currently we have manually configured marketing automation. I think the next step is AI driven or machine learning driven marketing automation, whereby we have to do less work ourselves, and the AI software learns and adapts automatically over time. So we can take 1 or 2 examples of how that could be done in practice. So in marketing automation, there is a concept called lead scoring. We can design a simple algorithm to guesstimate how interested someone is to buy soon. And we do that by adding a credit score to each activity. So if someone visits one page on the website, that gives +1. If they download a PDF, that gives +3. If they watch a webinar, that gives +5. And then we put a summary on all the activities. And the more activities that person do, the higher the score. And by comparing the score of different people, we can kind of guesstimate how interested someone is related versus someone else based on their digital footprint, let's say. But we have to create that algorithm manually and add the scores for the different activities on our own. And there is a risk that our guess as to how to design that algorithm is not correct. And for example, we can now use machine learning to do something called predictive lead scoring, where artificial intelligence is being used, and we compare the digital footprint or the behavior, the online behavior of a new lead to the online behavior of our customers before they became customers. So based on the similarity of the behavior of the new leads compared to the actual customers before they became customers, you can get a predictive lead score, which is usually calculated 0 to 100%, that estimates how close someone is to buy. And we can then connect the lead score and have that to trigger marketing automation logic and have that send off different emails. So whoever is 25% purchase ready, we send them 3 emails with a soft sales message. But then that person does some more things over the next few months and eventually come over 50% ready to buy, then we can send a sequence of harder sales message emails to them. If someone do a bit more and become 75% sales ready, then we don't send them any email anymore, but we actually have a marketing automation system created to do task in the calendar of a sales guy in the CRM system, such that that sales guy actually have to do a manual sales call. So that is one way of using artificial intelligence. Another way, which is very easy to understand, is email marketing. So today, if you use MailChimp or ConvertKit or ActiveCampaign for your email marketing, we typically send all the 10,000 or 100,000 emails at the same go, at the same time. But with machine learning, the email marketing software could actually adapt the send time for each individual person. So instead of sending 100,000 emails at the same time, we send one email at 100,000 different times to optimize the open rate of emails. Because someone likely wants to have the email at 10 o'clock in the morning to open it, most likely, whereas someone else wanted at 3 p.m.
And is that available now, or is that coming?
No, that is available.
It's available now that you can do this.
Yeah.
Crazy. Jonathan.
So you say available, I don't think some of the leading automative marketing platforms like ActiveCampaign, it's the one I actually use, or Drip, or any of the more non-corporate aimed ones are doing that. Am I correct, or is it just in the corporate field that they're utilizing?
In terms of AI-based marketing automation, so far, most of the interesting AI stuff is done by independent startup companies.
Right.
So there are hundreds of marketing automation solutions out there that uses AI, but they are usually not the main big marketing automation system like ActiveCampaign or HubSpot or something like that, but rather specialized tools that only do one specific thing.
I don't want to go off. I'm notorious for slightly going off topic, but I don't. But it's just I just can't resist myself because you're such an expert in this area. You use AI, but I tend to prefer to use the word in machine learning because
which is more correct, in fact.
Pardon?
Which is more correct, in fact.
Because I kind of. I might be incorrect here, but I think there's a kind of baggage around artificial intelligence because people start thinking that we're talking about a machine that has kind of almost human consciousness levels, and I think we're very far from that. But so I prefer to use the term machine learning. What do you think?
I think you're correct. To be honest, I don't think there is any clear definition of what AI really is. We do not have strong AI, so we do not have machines that take over the world and have, can reason on their own or have feelings and stuff. So we only have narrow AI that does more specific tasks, which perhaps is a good thing. But I think AI is more of an umbrella term that collects a different set of specialized technologies. So I usually explain it with three layers of technology. So the first layer is kind of big data, where we can find almost invisible patterns and correlate correlations in historical data. So for example, using big data, we can detect that a certain type of credit card transactions have been fraudulent in the past. The next level up would be something called predictive analytics, where we can design algorithms that can detect such circumstances in future unknown data. That pretty much means that in an ATM machine, we can detect that a currently ongoing credit card transaction likely is fraudulent or not. But the problem is that if the prediction algorithm learns that credit card transactions from country A tends to be fraudulent, but that changes over time, and later on, in fact, credit card transactions from country B is more likely to be fraudulent, then the prediction algorithm wouldn't pick up that change and start to increasingly make worse and worse predictions. So if we add a feedback loop to the prediction algorithm, we get machine learning. And machine learning are algorithms that can predict the future based on historical data, but it keeps learning all the time as more data becomes available.
I think what you're saying there is that computers could do very specific things in very ordered patterns, but when there was any variable, they tended to break down. By what you've just described, you give normally a very unadaptive process the ability to adapt to some degree. Would that be correct?
So with machine learning, we get algorithms that can optimize themselves as they are exposed to more data. So the more data they get over time, they can optimize their own behavior and become better and better at doing predictions that are more and more accurate. And making predictions that follow the changes in the external world as well.
Oh, save me, Cindy. Let's get back on subject.
Okay, I'll pull you guys back in. So let's go back to automation, because you know, this is something that a lot of our listeners like to talk about now. And maybe you can tell us the process that you use. But how does a small business owner decide what the best automation structures should look like? Like, what process do you use to decide with your clients, like what that automation, you know, process or system should look like?
Yeah, I think we have this term in Sweden where we usually say that, or we ask, how long is a string? The string can be as long as you need it to be, and depending on how much money you have. I think we should start small, and the 80-20 rule, the Pareto rule applies. So take the low-hanging fruit initially. Make sure to collect leads from the website by offering a free lead magnet, a PDF download usually, in return for the visitors submitting their contact information in a form, and start to send them some nurturing emails at least. And then we can add more stuff as time passes. But we shouldn't underestimate the need for content. You probably need to blog, unless you have a set of blog articles that are educational on certain topics, then we don't really have a lot to say in the emails. We shouldn't really send a lot of salesy emails just promoting the products and offering discounts and stuff, but we should make sure that at least 80% of the emails we send are truly educational, informative, or inspirational, and not salesy. And the best way of doing that is to send a short email that explains why something is important and what it is, and then link to a blog post that explains how it is done. So basically the emails we send automatically is the teaser that drives traffic to the website or the blog rather, where the visitor or the lead is exposed to more educational content. So we teach them to come back to the blog by sending them emails, we tease them with interesting topics, and by clicking a link in the email, we drive traffic back to the website. And the blog article, the blog post, should then have call to action buttons or banner ads that promote more free lead magnets, more incentives to download more PDFs, so we can give them more educational content to consume, thereby building our own authority and building the trust over time. So basically, I try to build a machinery where I try to get the lead to consume as much educational content as possible. Using emails, for example, to drive traffic to the blog posts. The blog posts promote PDF downloads. Those PDFs promote the webinar, etc., etc.
Oh, that's great. I think we're going to come to the end of our podcast, the part of the show. Magnus has been generous to say he'll stay on for a little while, which you'll be able to see on the WP-Tonic website and YouTube channel. Magnus, how can people find out more about what you've discussed? I've just been blown away by your knowledge, really. How can they find out more about you and what you're up to?
So my website, obviously, unemyr.com. And then I have a blog, so unemyr.com/blog. There is also a free book on marketing automation that the listeners to this podcast can download for free, and it's available on unemyr.com/subscribe. It's a 240-page book in PDF format on marketing automation.
Oh, that's great. Cindy, how can people find out more about you and what you're up to, Cindy?
Yeah, so if you're in the midst of creating a course and you need a little help to level it up, you can reach me at thecoursewhisperer.com.
That's great. And hopefully next week, well, we will have another expert similar to Magnus that will give you insights and help you build an online course or membership site and get the success that you're looking for. We'll see you next week, folks. Bye. Right, so on to the bonus. Got another question, Cindy?
I do have a question. So this AI technology and everything, is it accessible to these solopreneurs, or is this something that we are only going to be kind of feeling the effects of from a corporate level?
I think there will be certain types of technologies which is certainly available for the solo entrepreneur. Some other stuff is quite corporate. Anyone who is using Gmail is already using AI. So for example, if you get an incoming email to Gmail, Gmail apparently can propose responses automatically, and you can just click to pick one of the responses. So that is AI at work. It is currently quite hyped to install a chatbot on the website, or install a chatbot in Facebook Messenger, whereby your leads and customers can chat with your business at any time of day, unstaffed. These chatbots typically are AI-driven to some level. And there are, for example, free of charge chatbot development tools or very low-cost chatbot development tools that any solo entrepreneur could use to build their own chatbots and install on their websites at very low cost. I also think that there are a number of low-cost tools that exist or will soon exist. For example, people running a web shop can easily use AI for product recommendations to offer different products at the front page to different leads, dependent on their past behavior. So AI-driven product recommendations, just like Amazon has, is available at quite low cost. I think pretty much every email service provider will use AI to optimize, for example, the send time, as discussed before, or even to optimize the cadence. How often should a certain lead get the emails compared to some other lead? Perhaps they accept the emails more often or less often. So that will come in. And I think that will be quite a commodity feature in any email service provider within 2-3 years.
Right.
I got a question. There's been some alarm in general around face recognition and using machine learning around face recognition, and it being how concerned are you about machine learning being used by regimes or by companies to discriminate and or to oppress certain groups of people? Are you alarmed by?
Very much so. AI is already used to pretty much suppress people. In China, for example, they have a social credit score system whereby the government put a credit on each citizen, and dependent on how you behave, you get a different credit score. And if your score is low, for example, you have been parking in the legal space, or you have been driving too fast, or you were late in paying the rent, then you may not be allowed on the plane. Or if you tweet certain messages on Twitter which the government don't like, then you may be banned from buying a train ticket, or even visiting the hospital.
Yeah, I was aware of that actually, and obviously, as somebody brought up in a kind of semi-free in Britain, and also living now in America, I found it very scary. And then I thought to myself, but in America and also in Britain, fundamentally it's a similar system, but it's controlled by corporate entities. Now, if you in America, they're obsessed by their credit score, their FICO. Everybody talks about their, FICO score to some degree, and it will determine if they'll be able to afford to buy their house, to get certain credit. It's got a certain taste of the Chinese system, isn't it?
There are problems, and maybe moving in a slightly different direction, but there is this fairly large US retail chain that sent marketing literature home to pregnant women, and they concluded who was pregnant based on the purchase patterns. So perhaps someone was buying certain foods or other products, and that they could correlate that to the woman actually being or soon being pregnant. So we sent this marketing literature for pregnant women home to this teenage girl who were still living at home with their parents. And the dad got to see it and became furious, because obviously the teenage girl wasn't pregnant. But he just a few days later on had to accept that, in fact, the teenage girl was pregnant. And so the family learned about this fact because a retail chain had very precise AI algorithms that could conclude that certain women are pregnant based on their purchase patterns.
Obviously, I think that's blown Cindy away, actually.
Yeah, well, it's interesting and very scary at the same time.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you think, is there going to be a kind of legal backlash to some of the things that you've discussed in this conversation?
I think there will have to be. In Europe, we already have it with the GDPR, new European legislation. So there are now laws enforcing how we can do AI analytics, at least on personal data. I think it will have to come in any country, because it is pretty scary if it gets out of hand, I would say.
So, right, I think we've finished the conversation now. You've given us you gave me so much stuff to think about. My brain's hurting. So, Magnus, you have to come back on the show sometime in the new year, and hopefully you agree to come back. You just
I would be happy to. Yeah.
You've just blown me away, and I'm sure Cindy agrees. We're closing the show, folks, and we'll see you next week, where we have hopefully somebody of the quality of Magnus sharing his knowledge with you. We'll see you next week, folks. Bye.
Bye.